I guess the simplest way to imagine this is with the global leadership not quite able to get a deal across the line in the past few years, RED is still one of the areas where the donor community is providing substantial assistance to developing countries, and there's a ton of innovation about how to prevent tropical deforestation, which is about 15% of global emissions. So, just as sort of on first principles, RED is one of the most immediate positive developments that we can do and work on to fight climate change.
And do enough people understand how it works?
You can either have a very simple model or a very complex model. The simple model is that donors are offering developing countries very substantial positive incentives, money, technology, cooperation, skill building, and in return, developing countries are expected to bring to the table verified emission reductions. That means at scale, not in sort of pockets here and there, but whole nations or whole subnational jurisdictions, states and provinces, parts of the Amazon, should be able to show over time with all this assistance that they've actually driven emissions down. I mean, everything everyone else is working on here is important, but what's most important is that we can measure the fact that a source of emissions is getting less.
And in terms of being a deal breaker, how important is it for short-term ambition that RED Plus does actually, get out of the negotiating chamber and get sort of implemented in forests around the world?
That's a great question. I mean, I think what the environmental community has been very clear about is that the most important developments from this COP is that the donor community, the wealthy countries, and the developing countries have to increase their ambitions for mitigation targets and finance. And so that's really where it's somewhat of a dance, right? If for developing countries, which is we're going to be willing to take on more and more activities to reduce deforestation, provided there's more finance coming in. So we're seeing in the negotiations some very exciting developments in terms of countries from all around the world really moving this forward and saying, let's raise the scale of finance, let's raise the scale of ambition and mitigation.
Now there is a lot of suspicion about carbon accounting, maybe for countries who historically aren't big fans of market mechanisms, but tell us a bit about the work that you've been doing in California and the University of San Diego in maybe making the system seem a bit more clear-cut to people who don't know the full details.
Yeah, so one of the things, if we're going to have confidence in RED, that this is a really positive global development and one of the most important, ambitious initiatives that humans have undertaken in recent time, like I said sort of initially, we need to be able to measure with confidence that countries are actually reducing emissions. And so there's sort of a graduated tier of how you do that. The first is you can sort of use very conservative assumptions and say we think a certain amount of emissions have been avoided. We can measure it from space with satellites, and we ground truth that on the ground with putting tape measures around trees, and then you combine it all up with some equations. And there's a lot of people around the world that have been working on this. What we're hearing here from the donor community is let's do it better. Let's have higher confidence that we can understand how many emissions are being reduced or are not being reduced. Because there's a real drive here for the donor community to increase the finance that's really almost after the fact. Once you can prove that your deforestation rates are down, the way that gets converted to finance is usually through carbon. So there's a lot of conversations here about also paying for non-carbon benefits like biodiversity or social safeguard systems. But at the end of the day, this is a climate change convention, and the unit of currency for a lot of the cooperation is going to be a ton of CO2 or its equivalent.
And you've got a course that can help people maybe get a better grip of what this is all about. Yeah, so while there's a nice network of professionals around the world, they're probably they've graduated from high school. And what we've offered now in August and September at the University of California is the first university accredited certificate program in advanced terrestrial carbon accounting. And I know that sounds nerdy beyond belief, right? But the reason that's really important is we've got a lot of new technologies that are coming into play where we're able to measure and monitor trees and biomass at a level we couldn't have imagined 5 years ago. And also the donors are just asking for higher confidence, more statistical
descriptions of what we're seeing in rainforests around the world. So this course will recruit about 45 people. We've got a lot of interest from the University of California. They're working on accrediting it. And we've seen a real interest from the donor community and the multilateral and the scientific community to take these professionals that are out there and as a cohort, make them even better and stronger in statistics and sharing data, making all of their assumptions available and huge terabytes of data put onto systems where people can check it.
And if you want to take part in the course or you want to sort of apply, can you apply online, or is there a website address?
Yeah, right now the best place to learn more about the course, which will be offered in the summer in San Diego, so it's sunny, and if you get up early enough you can do some surfing or throw a frisbee or something. You go to the tropicalforestgroup.org's website, so it's just www.tropicalforestgroup.org, and there's an initial way to sort of find out more information. And over the next couple months, we'll be making information available about potential scholarships that we'll be offering developing country experts and professionals that want to take the course.
And back to the REDD+ mechanism, how much do you think it's been set back by, I guess, misinformation or people being suspicious of it, and perhaps not enough transparency up front about what its actual aims are?
You know, that's a great question. From Copenhagen and even before, the trust issue is incredibly important to international cooperation. If you don't have trust, there's just no way that you're going to cooperate with someone. So actually, the course, you know, on a macro level, really aims to help build some confidence in this REDD mechanism or system or program. And the way we're hoping to do that, again, is sort of to raise the level of statistical understanding of these models that are out there, but also to try and get the data which is coming from potentially the European Space Agency or the Japanese Space Agency or the Brazilian or NASA in the US, and make all of that information available so that the fact checkers here in the CCC process can really see that it's based on real data that hasn't been fabricated or made up or used for nefarious purposes. So